Hello, welcome back to the studio here in Northumberland. And today we're going to do an acrylic, but because it's Christmas, it's a snowy, villagey Christmas scene. You know what I mean. I've got a pre-stain on here, which is dry, and that's just raw sienna. Just whack it on, let it dry, plenty of water. And now I'm going to do the sky wash before I do any drawing. So this is my Stay Wet palette, which is a mess, just like everything else that I use. Those have been in there, apart from I've just squeezed out some more white and some more raw sienna. But those paints have been in there for 10 days. And you know what it is with acrylics, once they're dry you can't use them again. But this keeps it lovely and moist. And you can paint with them for weeks and weeks and weeks. There's one that I finished last night. There you go. And that's still the same squeezing out that I've got in this palette here. So enough of that. Let's whack on a sky. And what I've got here with my 1.5 inch flat brush, and this is my Aquafine brush, which is, as you know, a watercolour brush. But because they're good sturdy brushes, they'll take any amount of abuse. And it's a very simple sky in this one. I've got cobalt blue and titanium white. I'll just whack that on there with the big brush. Just like decorating the lounge, this side to side. And like I said, this is a very simple sky. I'm not messing around with lots of clouds and stuff. It's just a backdrop. Now some more white, titanium white. Start and bring that up. And I want to come about 2/3 down there. There. Very, very simple. Now I'm going to have a little bit of Payne's grey into that blue and white mix. There. A little bit of that into there. So it's just slightly darker at the base there. And like I said, a very, very simple sky. It's just a wash. A couple of clouds. Faint ones. And now in with my finger and soften those. Like I said, I want faint clouds. Just rolling it in. And it's much easier to do your sky wash first and then do the drawing on top once it's dried for 5 minutes. That way you're not trying to paint your sky around the bits of drawing. Much easier. And this, of course, is digital art. I always amuse myself. And that'll do for the sky. Just give that 5 minutes to dry and then I'll do the drawing on top. Now, the sky is not totally dry. It's a little bit tacky still. But it's dry enough for me to do the drawing on top. And so this is the painting that I'm going to be doing. This is the photograph that I took. It's one of the many lovely little villages in Suffolk that I've visited over the years to do painting holidays. And I'm going to make this into a snow scene. So what I'm going to start with is the chimney here. And that. And the thing about a lot of these cottages in Suffolk is the chimneys. They're impossibly big for the buildings. They're much taller than the buildings. Down like so. And a little bit there. And that's all the chimney. Another chimney behind. here's the roof. And these are thatched cottages, but there's not going to be a lot of roof left showing because I'm going to have snow on them. Down here. And then I've got kind of a dormer window in there. You can see that this is not dry. Look, I'm picking up paint on my pencil. You see that? But as long as I can make a mark, that's all I'm bothered about. There's one dormer. And the other one coming down here. One on there. And now here I've got a kind of a lean-to which cuts through that. And that lean-to is where the door is. A little bit there. And then this comes down here. A little bit there. Then there's another roof coming in behind the building. And a little bit of a barn roof there. And I've got bushy bits there. Bushy bits, that's another technical term. And here I've got a hedge which goes all the way across there. Lengthen that a little bit more. And a couple of windows here. Then the hedge starts again there. With a gap to go into the house. And here I've got another house. Just wipe the paint off my pencil. Another house there. With a chimney on. There's the end of the house. And there's a little dormer window sticking through from that one. And there's a window there. And then I've got a faint house there. I've been making that a lot weaker. Roof coming down there with a big chimney on. A couple of dormers in that as well. Which is just really like an inverted V there. Then a line going up. And behind here, my phone's gone off. Behind here, I've got lots of trees. Actually, there's a bit of So it's a smaller version of that, really. Lots of trees behind here. Coming up, trees, when you're doing the drawing for them, they're just wiggly lines, don't fiddle about with them. And here is where the hedge, that's in there, where the hedge finishes. And now I've got the road coming around here. And just there, there's a road sign, which is quite nice. On the village green. And there we go, drawing done. Very simple, just an outline. I'm going to start off, I'm going to do all of the buildings with my round brush, my number 8 round. And I'm starting off with that further one in the distance, and then getting stronger as I'm coming further forward. Now in Suffolk, a lot of the buildings, in these Suffolk villages, a lot of the buildings are a lovely pink. And it's called Suffolk pink, strangely enough. And what I'm doing, starting off here with alizarin crimson mixed with titanium white. Put down that. And this is a very simple building, it's just a block going around the windows. And now I'll have a little bit more of the red, the alizarin crimson, into that mix, so it's slightly darker for that side there. And once you've done the drawing, the drawing's the most difficult bit, because once you've done the drawing, the rest is dead easy, because you're just filling in your own pencil lines. It's a bit like painting by numbers without the numbers. Which is just as well, because I can't read the numbers without my reading glasses. A bit there, a bit there. And when you're doing it these kind of colours, even though it's a snow scene, you're going to get some warmth into it because of the colours. You notice I'm not being too precise at the bottom here. There's going to be loads of snow down there. That. Now, a touch of raw umber and burnt sienna mix. There's my raw umber and some burnt sienna into it. So it's a reddy brick colour on there. And a diagonal line at the bottom where it meets the roof. Now, a little bit of white into that mix. So it's weaker, or lighter should I say, on that side. And that's not quite enough white. Put a bit more white into that. That's better. A little bit of that on there as well. A bit there. And I shall leave that for the time being and come to this one here. And that one is white. I'm going to have the light in this, obviously, because of that. I'm going to have the light in this coming from the right. So anything white in shadow, have a touch of blue into it. So here I've got my titanium white and cobalt blue, because it's cobalt blue that I use for the sky. Always keep the blue the same. Bit of that there. Bit more white, I think. Yep, that's better. Bit of that in there. And around that. And now a touch more blue at the base of that. Touch more cobalt blue. There. And smooth it in. And again, smooth in, just with a clean damp brush now. All with my number 8 round brush. On the chimney again, raw umber and burnt sienna. A little bit stronger because the colours are going to get stronger as I'm coming further forward. Bit that. And again, some white into it. And that. Still with that burnt sienna and raw umber mix, I'm going to have a bit of that on the dormer sticking out there. And now I shall go back to windows, to this one here. And for the windows, all I need for that is a little bit of Payne's Grey. I've got a couple of blobs in there. There's one. There's another one. Couple there. Couple there. A little bit on the front of the dormers there for a window. And one on there as well. You don't want to be fiddling with detail on these. Now I can do the roofs, or roofs, whatever you want to say, on those buildings. We'll start off with just titanium white there. Titanium white, there's lots of different whites in acrylics. It's a bit like oil painting. Stick with one white, it's less confusing. And titanium white is a good standalone white, but also it's a good mixing white. It's a lovely white. Drag a little bit down into the building, like so. Now some of that on here as well. As I come down there, again, drag a bit down, so you've got snow coming down from the roof there, look. And as I said earlier, anything white in shadow, have a touch of blue into it. So again, a little bit of cobalt blue into my white. That bit of, if the light's coming from the right, that bit of building is going to cast shadow on that bit of building. So coming in there with blue and white mixed. Like so. And again, a little bit more of that to this side of the snowy roof there. And a little bit from the chimney. Casting a shadow from the chimney there. Isn't that easy so far? Now, a little bit of Payne's Grey into my blue to cast the shadow where the roof meets the building. There, look. then again casting shadow from that bit onto that bit of building. But I haven't made any of the colours too strong on that building. For the simple reason that, as I said earlier, it's further away. Yeah, first little building done. Now that I've got that one in, I'm going to stick all the trees in behind it. And it's the trees behind this building that will make the building pop out. And so it's a little bit of Payne's grey and a little bit of cobalt blue here to start with. Payne's grey, cobalt blue. And I'm splitting my number 8 round brush. See what I've just done to that? Split it. These brushes are really hard wearing and they will stand any amount of abuse. And all I'm doing is stippling on there like so. And a bit of stipple there with a split brush. And coming down here. And now, because once you split the brush, you can't guarantee where it's going to go. So now I'm getting up close to the building. I'm going to unsplit the brush by just dipping into my water, back in with the same colour, and now carefully up to the buildings. And then spread it upwards slightly. A bit more there. And now carefully around here. A bit more blue. Carefully around there. And carefully around that building there. And now those trees kind of like shape the buildings that I've got in front of them. And a little bit more of that down here. Carefully around the building. Now spread it upwards. That's my road sign there, or that's what will be my road sign. Now, to get a few more colours in here, so I'm going to my 3/4 inch wash brush now. But again, split that brush. So I'm starting off with that blue and grey again, Payne's grey and blue. Bit of that, a bit more blue. And as I said, this time I'm splitting that brush. See? And stippling. A little bit stronger. Now at the base of that, I'm going to have a little bit of burnt sienna. But again, splitting the brush. That just brings that a little bit further forward. And don't forget there's going to be snow going on this lot as well afterwards. Now a little bit of just Payne's grey. Split the brush. Now just with my fingernail, look. Drag up a few little bits. There. Now I'm going to do that little road sign there. And for this, I'm changing my rigger brush. A number 4 rigger brush, that one. Again, the Aquafine brushes. And a little bit of titanium white. Just titanium white. I'm just filling in that line there, look. And then a couple of pieces coming off it there. There. And we'll have a couple more bits coming off it as well, I think. Now a little bit of blue onto it as well. Actually no, I'll use paint spray. On that side. Remember where the light's coming from. There. Can't really see it that much, but it'll do. And I shall make it snow again afterwards. Now, a little bit of my Payne's grey down there as well. In the base of the snow, down there. Which again, all pushes the house out that little bit more. Again, digital art. Just soften that in. Okay, now, to these houses, the big one. And again, back to my number 8 round brush. I'm starting off with just raw sienna on this. Nice and light on the front part of the house. Carefully around, well, careful-ish, around my windows. And down to the bottom there. And on that front bit as well. And now, actually, a little bit on there. And coming up to the top of the chimney here. Keeping that nice and light. Now, a little bit of raw umber into the raw sienna. It's darker on this side. Now, in the photograph, this building is actually a white building, which doesn't suit very well for a snow scene, because it's just white upon white. So I've made it stone instead, rather than painted stone. Some of that in the chimney. And I'll enhance that afterwards when I put the shadow in. But just filling in blocks. Just a little bit. And more on here. All the way down. I've never painted this painting before as a snow scene. The actual painting I did of it was when I did it on location in the middle of summer for a painting holiday that I did there. here, sharpening up a little bit, and again a little bit of that brown mix on this side of the entrance. But you can see it's all very simple so far, just the blocks. Now she'll do the same on here, but stronger, because this is going to be in shadow. And again, just one big block. I've got another chimney there behind that one, and I'm going to make that fairly dark so it sits behind. So I've got raw umber again, this time with Payne's grey mixed in. Put that on there. Actually, whilst I'm in with that colour, I'll have a little bit of blue into my Payne's grey and just fill in the windows there. Look. That's a stroke on that one. Another one on that one. Couple in that one with a gap left in between. And I'm just thinking, what colour should I have the door? Gail, what colour shall I have the door?
Red.
Red. Gosh. Okay, if you say so. Now, you heard that. So if this is wrong, it's Gail's fault. Red, a little bit of crimson. Okay, you may have been right.
Thank you.
Don't mention it. Don't get too big for your boots. There. Now, the roof on that building. Starting off with just titanium white. Again, still with my round brush, number 8 round. And wobble it in there. Wobble it in there, that's another technical term. You don't want it all straight and perfect, it's snow on the roof. And around the dormer windows, because they're going to have snow on as well, but they're going to have snow on with blue into it. It's on the darker side. The dark side. More of that down there. And cutting in on that one there. And again, we'll have some of that on here as well. Still all with my number 8 round brush. I have a book out on painting acrylics for the absolute beginner. It's acrylics for the absolute beginner. But unfortunately, the publishers have sold so many of them that it's gone to reprint and it won't be back in until early January, is it?
February.
Early January, February. And then you'll be able to buy it. And it's called Acrylics for the Absolute Beginner. You notice, look, with that snow, I brought it down into the building, so we've got snow coming from the roof. Now, oops, I forgot that bit there. Actually, I forgot two bits, because there's a bit on the front of the building there. Bit of raw sienna for the wall. You didn't tell me about that, did you? Bit of snow onto the porchway. Bringing that down onto the front as well. And now on the dormers, like I said, it's snow on those as well, but I want some blue in it because it's more on the dark side. There. And now it's in with a load of shadow on this, but it's Payne's grey and a touch of blue. If you remember, when I use shadow with a lot of it, with a lot of paintings, I have alizarin crimson into it, but that would make it a warm shadow, and I don't want a warm shadow in this. So, nice and strong there. Underneath, where the snow meets the building. And then down there. Then we'll have a little bit of that inside the dormers, there, and there, and underneath those. Inside the windows. All my number 8 round brushes inside the doorway. And then underneath the roof again. Now, down that side of the chimney, that pronounces the chimney a little bit more. A bit there. And again, stroke this up a little bit, soften it. Just with a clean damp brush. Actually, what I'm thinking is to lighten that bit of chimney even more. So I'm going to have some Naples yellow on there as well. Look, there. That's better. A little bit more there. Yeah, like that more now. A little bit more snow on there, I think, on the roof bit. Oh, that can come down a little bit more. And also, I want some of that blue and Payne's grey mix on that side of that roof. in, just going to soften that in now. Clean damp brush. Like so. So that side of that building is now casting shadow onto the one at the back. A few touches of that in the snow here as well. Bumpy bits in the snow, bumpy bits, technical term. And there, that's any difficulty within this painting done. Now on this barn at the front here, I'm going to have a few bits of roof showing through the snow, which I'm going to put on it. So there's a little bit of burnt sienna mixed with raw umber to start with. And then again, a little bit of raw sienna on the front of the building. There. And now for the snow on the roof, which I shall take in to the raw sienna slightly as well. On there, look, there, and bring it down. I'm not touching the raw sienna yet because that's still wet. Get that bit in first, then bring it down. Here, and a few bits on there. And then again, a little bit of shadow underneath that, where the roof meets the building. And again, soften it down. And Gail just said to me, wouldn't you have a little bit of snow on the window ledges? Yes, I would, but I haven't made it snow yet. So now is the time to make it snow. I'll have a little bit of snow on there, underneath the window ledges, Gail.
On the window ledges.
On the window ledges, sorry. Have a little bit on there as well. A bit there. Is that enough, Gail?
That's lovely. Much better.
Thank you. And here I've got a hedge. And it's good to have some green. And a hedge, of course, is nearly always green, even in winter. But darker green. So I've got burnt sienna and hooker's green with my round brush. And what I'm doing is split the brush and stipple on. There, like so. We'll be having snow on this as well, but that's my first bit of green. And again, split it for here. More hedge. And I'm just stippling. Like that. Now, a little bit of raw umber and burnt sienna mixed, nice and dark. Split the brush again. A little bit of that at the base. Because like I say, yes, it's green, but I don't want a summertime green. And now, before we go any further with this, before I make it snow properly, I'm going to just stick the road in. And so for that, I want a little bit of raw umber and a little bit of raw sienna mixed. And just block this in here like so. Leaving a little bit of my pre-stain showing through here and there. Pre-stain just kind of like evens up the whole canvas. Leave bits of it showing here and there. Doesn't matter how far I go across my pencil lines, because I'm going to be covering that up with snow in a minute. Take that around there and disappear there. And now I've got a hedge here, a bushy bit here. So again, a tiny touch of green, but even darker, more burnt sienna into it. So that's hooker's green and burnt sienna. Hooker's green, about the best colour in your box, because you can mix it with every other colour you've got and make lots of different greens. Bit of green there. Now a little bit of raw umber and burnt sienna. Bit of that, bit of that. Stipple my brush. Bit of that, bit of that, bit of the other. Ooh, misses. Bit of that, stipple on there. And now a touch of paint spray as well. Now I want to let all that dry before I make it snow, so I'm going to give it 10 minutes. Now it's time to make this snow. And so I'm going to move around the picture as I'm putting the snow on here. Starting off in the foreground, just with titanium white, and let's have some on here. Bit at the base of the trees there. Bit of digital art here and there as well. Can't beat a bit of digital art. Smoothing in. And now a little bit thicker as it comes down here. Getting to the bottom of the canvas. And it's certainly, all of these, they are done in the time that you see. I know exactly what I mean by that statement. There's no bits cut out or anything like that. When I say it needs 10 minutes to dry, I'm not touching it during those 10 minutes. So there's no bits and pieces that you don't see. So just as long as you've seen me take to do this picture is actually how long it's actually taken. Does that make sense? Does to me anyway. Bit of snow there. Now coming down here. A little bit in there. there's tiny touches of the underpainting showing through here and there. Like I say, it just kind of like evens out the canvas. All with my 3/4 inch brush this. Up to the road now. Titanium white is such a lovely colour. And when you're painting in acrylics as well, it's a good rescue colour. I'm not talking about for doing a snow scene, I'm talking about if you make a mistake, paint over with titanium white. Let it dry and then go back to it. Now, I'll just put a little bit down the centre of the road there as well. You notice how I did that? Look, I started off with the corner, tiny corner of the brush, like so, over there. Then as I came further forward, look, I'm laying more brush on. A big bit there. Now, like I said, I'm going to move around the picture as I'm putting the snow on. So I've finished in the foreground for the time being. I want to give that a couple of minutes to settle. So in the meantime, I'll go back over into the distance here. And what I'm doing, split my brush, still the 3/4 inch flat, split it, like so, and stipple on. And again, split it some more and stipple on. Bit of digital art. Again, split that brush onto the hedge now, look. And again onto here. I'm thinking it would be quite nice to have a little bit of snow going up to some of these buildings here and there. A few touches. And again, wash out, squeeze out, now soften. Yep, that's better. Now again, into blue with my white. Different depths of blue and white. Getting stronger and weaker, stronger and lighter, should I say. There's a bit of blue, there's some white, titanium white. A few bits in here, look. Now, again with my finger, stroke in and soften. Stroking. Gentle stroke into the snow. And again a little bit of that here. For the turn in the road there, look. down there, a little bit down there. Anywhere where you want the snow to be a little bit more shaded, put some blue into it. And a few touches in here as well. And again, stroking. Very satisfying, this. Stroking across, and it softens and just gives you the effect that you're after. A little bit of that blue and white mix to the left-hand side of the snow in the road. And again, stroke it across. Now, darker with a touch of Payne's grey into the blue and white. There's the blue and white, but I put a touch more blue into it. Now a touch of Payne's grey into it. Look, it's gone a lot darker now. Just with the corner of my 3/4 inch brush. There, and a few touches on here. Now what I'm going to do with that dark line that I've just put on is bring it across into the track. Gentle stroking. A few more touches of that up here. It's quite a lot darker, that one. But that gives you your bumps in your snow. A bit from the road sign there. And again, back in with my finger. Just think of the shapes that you want. I'm bringing that downward slightly diagonally rather than just flat. Shaping the land slightly. Then that one I'll take upwards. To create a mound in the snow on that side. See, the last thing you want in a snow scene is too much white. Snow's got all the colours of the landscape in it. It's reflecting, it's a bit like water, really, think about it. It's reflecting the colours of the sky for a start. And I'm just thinking about a little bit of Payne's grey into there as well. Actually, we're going to have a big shadow across here. The light's coming from the right, so whatever's here, out of shot, will cast shadow here. So I've got Payne's grey, plenty of water into it, and a touch of blue into it. Down here. Yep. And now I shall have that going up into the snow here as well. way. That's better. And I think that's more or less done. Do I want some more white? Maybe a few touches. In amongst the dark stuff I've just put there, tap on with some more bits of white, which will just illuminate slightly. Just dabbing. That's all right. That's all right, he said. It's all right. Loosely, so I'm leaving the dark colour shine through as well. And I think that will more or less do. And there we go. A not too difficult snow scene, but whatever, it's fun to do. Just slap paint on and enjoy doing it. But don't get too tight and too detailed. Use bigger brushes. I've only used one small brush throughout that, and that's my number 4 rigger brush. The brushes, number 4 rigger brush, 3/4 inch flat brush, 1.5 inch flat wash brush, and a number 8 round brush. I only use 4 brushes, ever. And, you know, it's not because I'm tight-fisted, it's because I can get every effect that I want out of those 4 brushes. And you've seen how I'm splitting the brushes quite a lot as well. And that works for all kinds of foliage. 4 brushes, aquafine, which means they are watercolour brushes, so you can do your watercolour paintings or your acrylic paintings with the same brushes. Stretch canvas. The paints I'm using are System 3. Show you those. There you go. System 3 acrylic paints. Those are my tubes. Those, they're only £2.70 a tube on my website. The brushes, I think it's £19 for all 4 of them. You can buy them individually as well, but all 4 is only £19. So you don't need highly expensive painting equipment. These all do the job very well, and it's what I use all the time. And the Stay Wet palette, if you haven't got yourself a Stay Wet palette, get one, because they will save you what they cost in the paint that you don't waste in the first few paintings. But it's all there on my website, charlesevans.com. I hope you have a really lovely Christmas. And those of you that watch this in summer next year, you'll wonder what the hell I'm talking about. But it's Christmas now, so enjoy your Christmas and a Happy New Year. Thank you very much.